Welcome to the Brett Davis Podcast. I'm Brett Davis, and I have Tamara Romeo with me today, who's one of the top people in her industry. She is known as the design boss. Welcome for being here today. I appreciate that.
Thank you. It's so nice to join you.
So, tell us a little bit. You're a native San Diegan.
I am.
And tell us how you knew that this was your calling and this was what you're supposed to do.
Well, this is actually my second career.
Really?
So my first career was in advertising. I worked for the Reader. So if you're a San Diego native, you know the Reader is and was an institution around San Diego, especially in the 90s.
Okay.
And so I worked with business owners to tell the story of their business and drive traffic through their doors. I did that for almost 15 years. And what I learned during that time was how to talk to business owners, and also that a lot of them were missing the skills to really create an environment or a culture within their workplace or their office or their car showroom that would be memorable. And so I thought, hey, you know what? I can use my skills here to transition out of advertising for the Reader and into interior design for business owners. And that's where everything's...
How did you figure that out?
I think I just...
Were you just like one day you had some free time and you're being creative and you're like, I'm really good at this and I really love this, and if I had to do this, I would do this for nothing anyway, but I really think I could do really well at this.
For sure, that, but also I think I saw a gap in the marketplace after all that time talking to business owners, and I thought...
You could do better.
Yeah, I knew I could do better. I knew how to tell a story. I knew how to brand. I was a branding specialist at that point. And so if I could use the visual storytelling and the branding skills, I thought I could really be different in the interior design marketplace. And so I started doing my research to see if anybody else was doing what I was thinking of doing. And I didn't see anybody else doing it. And so I thought, let's jump in. So that was in 2010, so almost 15 years ago now.
Does it seem like 15 years?
Some days it does, but most of the time I just love what I do. And going back to what you just said, when you love what you do, you would do it anyway.
Right.
And so I feel like I am blessed to be able to grow a business that, in the beginning I saw just as kind of a small mom and pop shop where I was going to be able to help my friends and small business owners to make a difference. And now it's transitioned into something so much bigger, bigger than I ever envisioned for myself.
That's fantastic. So you're involved with this new group. It's called Southcoast Design Group. Tell us about how that happened and what they're about.
Yeah, so that's sort of my second company, or my parent company. So when I started out doing offices, and the name of the company is San Diego Office Design. So for 12, 13 years, that's how people knew me in the marketplace. So we specialized in workplace design. And then I had an opportunity with some partners that believed in my talent to jump out of just doing offices and jump into bigger projects. And those are like multifamily housing, which would be like luxury apartments and condominiums, just much larger scale, ground up building and development, and working with developers around San Diego. And so I started with one project, and that led to more and more until now we're working on, some of the biggest emerging projects and newest growth areas in San Diego around San Diego State.
So when you started 15 years ago, has everything evolved more than you could ever imagine?
Completely. I mean, not only in my industry, but, with San Diego in general. I mean, you and I are both San Diego natives, and we were talking
very rare.
a little bit off camera about that. And so we both have the experience of seeing the city grow up around us. And back in the day, they used to call San Diego Kansas by the Sea.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, because we sort of lacked the sophistication of San Francisco and Los Angeles. We didn't have the food culture and the great restaurants. But over the last 5 to 7 years, San Diego has completely shifted.
Why do you think that is? Is it the climate? Is this because we have a unique look? I mean, we have the mountains, we have the ocean, we have the border, we have, the border, that's another situation. But I mean, we have a varieties of things that are, that we have to offer.
Yeah, definitely. I think, San Diego is a little gem, and people started to recognize that there was so much opportunity here that wasn't being tapped into. And because we didn't have the food culture and the hotel industry really doing big things here, I think those people started to take notice, and they decided, wow, San Diego's an untapped marketplace, and it was time to really bring a little more sophistication to the market. So I started to see the full food culture change, and hotels. Like, I remember when the W Hotel came to San Diego.
I remember that.
That was a big change for us. Like, we
That was big time.
finally had a trending kind of hot, club, restaurant, hotel, and everybody was there. Everybody went to the rooftop deck, and it was design centric, so they really had a cool look and feel to the space.
Did you know Valley Coleman?
No, I didn't.
He was the doorman.
Look at you. That's what you get when you have a San Diego native. You always stay connected.
I never got a chance. I went there a couple times, but I see your point. And if you look at San Diego the last 15 years, everything you say is right on, spot on, and that, if anything, people want to be here more now than those other cities.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole environment has shifted, right? Because San Diego is, we still have our problems to take care of and our challenges, but I think that overall, we're an exciting city. We have, like you said, so many different environments within a 15 to 20 minute drive. You can be at the beach, you can be at the mountains, out in the desert, and all of those micro environments have different and beautiful things that they offer. And so San Diego is just a wonderful place to be.
Let's talk about some of your design and what you feel sets you apart from everybody else, because you are the first person we've ever interviewed, that I've interviewed. I've been doing this interview thing for a while, but I've never really, and I've always admired design. I think it's so valuable with everything you do. It sets the tone, the mood. We talked about that as well before the podcast today. What sets you apart from people that are trying to do what you do, or maybe even try to copy what you do?
I think, everybody has their own unique talents, right, that they bring to the table. And it's not about owning the pie, it's about owning your slice of the pie. And I think that I knew early on where my talents were, and I really focused on being the person that could create a vibe and a culture within a space, to really brand a space. A lot like the W Hotel that we just talked about, right? You walked into their environment and you knew exactly where you were, and you knew it was different than the Marriott or the Holiday Inn down the street.
More hip.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was memorable. And those traits are things that businesses need. They need their clients to walk through the door and say, wow, I want to be here. I want to do business with this company. I feel like they're on trend. They understand the market. They understand me as a client. So it's especially important in environments where you're trying to draw people through your doors, and also attract and retain great staff. I mean, if you think about how the workplace has shifted in the last couple of years since COVID, having people come into the office is super challenging now, and really any business. And so having that memorable environment that makes you go, I want to be in that space, and then it makes an impact on me that makes me feel a certain way. I feel like I certainly know how to create that for people. And when you putting your life savings on the line to build a business or to develop a large, housing community, you want to make an impact. And so that's really where our talents lie.
And also, as competitive as things are now coming out of the pandemic, and I hate to keep going backwards to it because it happened and it's done, but it's still having repercussions for a lot of people. We're seeing a lot of businesses close shop, and more than right now than any other time, being creative, unique, having something that's those things plus cutting edge. Something that's going to draw people is probably more important right now. I mean, it's always been important, but probably more important now because, going in business in itself is, a challenge. It's not It's not an easy thing. And if you're going to do it, you better have something that sets you apart from your competitors or anybody else that's, trying to do business. So you feel you add that value to help lift those companies up. So.
I know for sure that our clients feel like without our help, they wouldn't accomplish the goals that they were putting forward for their business and meeting the deadlines in order to do so. Because when you're signing a lease for, let's say, a new building that's going to house your business, time is money, and you need to be able to get in on time and start doing business in your space. And having somebody who can accomplish those deadline goals that we sort of talked about that earlier too, that's so important. It's vitally important, because if every month's rent is $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 down the drain, that can make a real impact on a business. And so we have the processes in place to make sure that we meet those deadlines, and that we help our clients cross those finish lines on time. And so the time money element is always an aspect of it, but I think bigger than that is creating a vision for the client and helping us to accomplish that together. That's really something that's important when you're starting a new project with a client. Oftentimes they're starting with a blank slate. Like we talked about your office here and how, your wife helped you to create this beautiful environment.
And it makes you want to stay.
Absolutely. And it's calming and reflective. And I think it really says, you have art on the wall that makes a statement about what you do and who you are. And I think that those things are important for every business, but often business owners are spreadsheet people, investment people. They have a vision for their business, but they aren't maybe so creative with the interior design. And so having someone to help them create that vision and then help make it come to life, because that can be a year process or more from beginning to end, depending on the size of the building. That's really important.
Do you have any, I look at what you do, and correct me if I'm wrong, I look at you as an artist and somebody that really, I know you have a business sense about you too, and you have to have that, of course. But what you do is artistry. Do you have anything that you're proud of that maybe we could look at? Do you have a photo or videos you'd like to share with us?
Absolutely. A picture says 1,000 words, and so our business is very visual, and we have plenty to share. I think one I'd like to share is an overview of some of our most recent projects, and so I'd like to share that with you now.
Okay. And where were these projects at?
Here in San Diego and also in Las Vegas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love Las Vegas.
Yeah, who doesn't, right?
Right.
There's a lot happening there as well in terms of development.
A lot. Okay, let's take a look at that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Great.
So tell me what we saw in that video and photos.
Yes, yeah. So mostly there are most recent projects that showcase our, what I call a residential focus of interior design, meaning that yes, we're working in mostly commercial spaces like high rises or large multifamily developments, but we want this comfortable residential feel within the space. And so residential is a phrase that we coined in order to help explain that to our clients. And so you'll see projects in San Diego, like the student housing project we just finished at San Diego State University called Stateside. You'll see a large luxury rental community that we worked on in Las Vegas called NOLA Sky. And then you'll see some of our various projects that we worked on in workspace design.
So you mentioned San Diego State, which we love San Diego State.
Go Go
I went
Aztecs.
there for a semester and then decided to go into business full time and never went back. But I always haunted by that. How different? And we talked a little bit about the Midwest and colleges. How different is UNLV in Vegas, for example? I would think that. Is there a need for what you do with the students in UNLV?
That's a great question. I think so many environments are changing and growing right now. And with the change in just community in Las Vegas as well as San Diego, all of those big communities, but also smaller encapsulated communities are shifting and growing. And so there's always opportunity, even in a down market. There's always businesses that are growing, even when everybody else is starting to feel the pinch and the pain. There are plenty of businesses that's when they really thrive. And so
that's true.
I always, having been through several of these ups and downs now over the 15 years, I never lose faith that there's the right client out there at the right time that needs us. And for instance, right now we've shifted very heavily into student housing by San Diego State, and that could easily translate over to Las Vegas because university education and state colleges, they're just all growing right now. Mm-hmm. And they have a need for this W hotel style student housing. They want the brand, the culture. They want the students to feel like they're really living in a vibrant community. And I'll tell you what, those student housing buildings will put any luxury apartment community to shame that you've seen across the city.
Even in Las Vegas?
Yes, they're amazing.
Because Las Vegas has some pretty amazing apartments.
Yes, and student housing is right up there.
Really?
Off-campus student housing. So that's where they really compete for the higher dollar. They need to really make the students to draw them into their communities. Mm-hmm. And that's where everything is design driven. So they need to have spaces that accommodate for study, for socializing, for quiet reflectiveness, for getting some sunshine, and all of those things, those environments have to be created within the larger envelope of the space. And often the builders, they have a big block and they know they want to put these amenities into their spaces to amenitize and reach the higher dollar value of the rent, but they don't know exactly how or where to place those amenities, and that's where we come into the picture. So
let's say I have a location or I have a place and I'm like, I want to work with you, and of course you have to say if you want to work with me, but let's say you take that project on. What is it in my units that you're going to do that are going to want? I mean, what are you going to bring and what are you going to do to the facilities or what they call apartments? Student apartments?
Could be, yeah.
What are you going to do? Is it different with each one?
It's different for each owner because every owner has a different vision of what they're trying to create. So
but you have to help with that too, right?
Absolutely. So basically there's kind of this kind of back and forth conversation first as the first step, where we learn about each other. What are your goals? What's driving the project? When do you need to have it done? So we start with the big envelope of needs, right, and deadlines. And then once I know what the deadlines are, what the needs are, then we can start talking about the vision for the space, the branding, what sets the project apart in their mind. And once I can pull those things out of sort of their ownership group, then I take that back to my team because it's not just me. I have a talented team of designers and interior architects that work for me. And we brainstorm and we go through a creative process. And then we take everything that the clients said to us, we brainstorm and come up with some ideas of a couple of different directions we think the project could take. And then we sort of hash out what do we think are the best elements of those different options. And then we create a look, a feel, and a function. Those are the three things that are really important to a building. How will it feel when you walk in? What makes it look different than every other building in the space? And is it functional? Will it really meet the needs of both the students and the owners? So
you're never bored.
Oh God, no.
You're like at a candy store, or if you're a kid, a playground.
It is like a playground. It's a creative playground,
right?
for sure. If you came to my office, you'd see we have a whole design library that has fabrics and colors and tiles and flooring and lighting and pieces of furniture, and we blend all of those elements together to create an environment. People forget that it's not just about the furniture that makes a space feel a certain way. It's the combination of all the things, almost like a great outfit, right?
Colors, shapes, light. I mean, when I go to when I go to stay somewhere at a hotel or even at home, all those things are so. I mean, I don't know if it's just. I always think I'm very bougie, and maybe I'm just very detailed. But psychologically, when you're trying to create or work, because I like working from home, and that happened more because of the pandemic. It's nice to have the things psychologically that you feel comfortable with. That you feel like certain colors bring out certain things that, like for example, if I'm trying to be more calm, I like yellow. Yellows are nice, and oranges. Orange is actually my favorite color.
So you're drawn to warm, expressive tones,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
So there's a whole color psychology that we utilize as interior designers, and I happen to use a lot of dark, saturated tones because I like more of a moody, sexy vibe, right? And you have that here in your studio too. You kind of created this.
That's my wife.
Yeah, yay to her. So really, we decide what direction we want to head in with a project, and it could be light, bright, and airy, or it could be dark, moody, sexy, and something else.
Sure.
And
Well, if you make it too sexy for the students, are they going to be studying?
that part I'm not responsible for. I just need to get them in the door, and then everything else is their responsibility. But I think you've hit a nail on the head that space really impacts you. Whether it's a restaurant, you'll decide to go and dine at certain spaces because you love the way it makes you feel.
Right.
It's not just the food, it's the experience that you're having.
And it's really odd that you mentioned that, because earlier, and I'll show you some video off when we're done today of a new restaurant that opened up. It's really unique and different. And we're just fascinated to go check it out because of the design and what it offers.
Is it Layla?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How did she know that so well?
that's the consortium group, and they are totally design
How
driven.
did you know that?
Because it's the hottest new space that just opened. I read as much as you do about what's happening in the city.
I'm
So-
shocked that you hit it on the dime like that.
Yeah, I want to
Wow.
go there myself. That's a Moroccan sort of
Yeah.
Middle Eastern themed restaurant.
But it transports you.
Oh, absolutely.
You see it right away. They have the detail down just amazing. Now I hear the food's kind of
Well, we'll have to judge that for ourselves, right?
okay. Well, maybe that's a good. So you haven't been either.
I haven't, and I just sent a little note off to my friend saying, "Oh, this is a must try."
Interesting.
The interior there is sort of a Moroccan vibe,
Right.
which ironically is the vibe we just proposed for a new student housing
Really?
project. Yeah,
Really?
we wanted to do a sort of a coastal Moroccan vibe because it's unique and different and will stand completely out from the other student housing environments. So think more in terms of colorful tiles, beautiful rugs, like big light fixtures. It creates a vibe that's unique and that will really be memorable for the students.
So isn't that kind of risky because I would think that a lot of these, you're the expert in this area. I would think that students coming into an environment probably have, if you do a demographics background on a certain age group, I would think that they like certain things and you probably know what those are. But it sounds to me like you just, whatever it is, you have this list and you just put it off to the side and you're like, well, we're going to go and we're going to do this Southern Moroccan thing.
Kind of. It takes some demographic research, as you mentioned. We know what trends are happening in design and in color theory and in fabrics and tiles. We live and breathe this stuff. And I read incessantly. I travel like crazy. I harness ideas everywhere that I go.
Traveling really is a good education for all that.
It is. And I bring things back to San Diego to really create a vibe, because you can do one of two things in an environment. You can make it timeless, or you can make an impact. If you make it an impact, then it's Instagram worthy. That's where students want to be, right? That's where restaurants want to be. If you make it timeless, that might be more like what you might do at home, when you don't want to redecorate for 20 years, right?
Wow.
But in a student housing environment, they want trend. They want what's hot. They want what they see at the latest restaurants and clubs. And that's what the owners want to provide in order to get those bodies through the door, because that's revenue, right? And that's what pays their bills as the ownership group. So impact is important.
So I'm looking forward to seeing all the changes that are coming to that area by San Diego State and along the 8 anyway, because we've been hearing for a while about all this, but now it's happening. And how exciting for you, and how exciting it is for the students, and of course San Diego. Is there something on a final note that you'd like to let everybody know about what you're doing, or the information's at the very bottom of the screen, how they can get a hold of you?
I think what I'll probably do is share some photos and videos with you so that you can share them with your team or with your viewers, because like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And once you see what we've created for our clients, you'll see a wide range of experiential design that we've created. And I think you'll start to see also how we've trended along with the growth of San Diego. And I'm really proud of that, because my business is a reflection of what's happening in the greater economy. And as San Diego locals, that makes me proud.
Tamara
That's okay.
Romeo.
There you go.
Well, remember that name, because I think you're going to end up being, I have an instinct, I'm usually pretty accurate, I think you're going to end up being known for your name. And I think that the work that you do is going to have your stamp on it. Everybody's going to be able to see right away that it's your work. I think you have that. And for 15 years, you've done a lot in a very short time. But I see great things coming out of what you're doing.
Thank you. That means so much to me.
I really do, and I'm not just saying that. Okay, thank you for being on the show, and everybody take care, and remember, be nice to each other.
Thank you.